The Kent State women's basketball team faced off against number 15 ranked Florida State University. Could the Flashes get it done in the Sunshine State?
The Cleveland Browns go Hollywood. Could they bounce back against the LA Rams after their loss to Mr. Unlimited and the Broncos?
And the Cleveland Cavaliers travel to the Motor City to take on Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. Find out as we put this show into overdrive as Sports Corner starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome to the Fall 2023 finale of Sports Corner. For the last time this semester, I'm Liv Sharp, that's Blake Kaloja, and we have a packed show lined up for everyone.
That's right, Liv. We have lots of guest appearances as well as some Sports Corner debuts tonight. So without further delay, let's get started with some Kent State women's basketball.
Right you are, Blake. The Flashes took on number 15 ranked Florida State University in Tallahassee. Kent State fell to a final score of 76-49, but junior Bridget Dunn grabbed a career-high 12 rebounds with 9 points. The Flashes were able to keep it a close game during the first half thanks to the out-rebounding the Seminoles 53-51, but Florida State ran away with the game in the second half. Next up, Kent State will be back on the road to take on Duquesne Sunday at 2 p.m.
And last Thursday, the Flashes bounced back and took down Shawnee State University 103-61. The Flashes had a brand new starting lineup that included L.A. Hayes, Von Cameron Davis, and Delrico Gillespie. This was both Hayes and Delrico's first collegiate starts. The Flashes shot 40% from the three-point line. Brendan Moss was one of many players who showed Kent State's depth coming off the bench with a career-high 19 points and 3 rebounds. Moss shot nearly perfectly 6 of 8 from the field and 5 of 6 from the three-point line. The Golden Flashes will be on the road to face South Dakota State on Tuesday, December 5th.
Bill, welcome in TV2 Sports' Jacob Kraus and Heidi Marshall. Now, who was the player that stood out to both of you for the men's and women's basketball team?
I'll start with the men's team. Brendan Moss really stood out to me. I thought he, coming off the bench and really kind of solidifying his role on the team. And I think if he can keep this up, he has a chance to earn a starting spot potentially.
Awesome. I completely agree with you, Jacob. And there are 2 players that I would really like to highlight for our women's team. They played Florida State, which is a tough game. First person is Bridget Dunn. She had a career high of 12 rebounds against a 15th ranked team. And the size difference just between our team and FSU, it was not fair. And the fact that she had such a high amount of rebounds is absolutely incredible. And the second person is Jenna Batch. I feel like she's going to have a breakout season this year. I mean, she has been a momentum builder for this team, and she had 12 points. She's averaging about 12 points per game and 4 assists. She's just giving them a lot of confidence, and she's able to hit those shots that need to be hit in those moments.
So overall, what do you guys think of the Flashes season so far?
I think the men's team has looked very strong overall. We've had 2 tough losses to James Madison, which was one of the best games you've ever seen. And then College of Charleston, who's one of the better teams in the country. And I think they've responded very well. And I think they needed a game like Thursday where they could really solidify what they're capable of when everybody's clicking.
And on the women's side, they're 4-3 right now. 2 of their 3 losses are to top 25 teams, which they have had an extremely hard schedule, don't get me wrong. But I have a feeling that they're going to fare out pretty well this year. I definitely see them making the MAC championship. It's just time will tell. Other MAC schools have been doing great too. So as long as they can, their turnover rate right now is a little scary. So as long as they can keep the ball for a good, for the game, they should be okay this year.
Well, what do the Flashes need to do to defend their MAC tournament title this season?
I think the biggest thing is health. I think we need to have a healthy squad, and I also think that it comes down to just overall going a game by game and really taking each team seriously, because every team in the MAC we play is going to be a hard-fought game, no matter what their record is, because conference games are always a battle. I think those are the things that are going to really, help us, get to where we want to go, which is, to Cleveland and then, back to the NCAA tournament.
Now on the other side, the women's did not win the MAC championship last year, but they did make it to the MAC tournament, which was amazing, and they did fairly well. They do have an easy schedule left in non-conference. They have 3 super easy games. They're all winnable games. After that, it's MAC play starts, and they're averaging about 64 points a game, which is okay. I feel like there's a lot of good teams in the MAC. You have Toledo. They literally just won the San Diego Classic. They've been playing some hard teams like we have. BG just played number 4 Iowa. Iowa won 99-65. And I have a feeling the season's going to depend on Katie Shumate and Jenna Batch. Like, if those girls play consistently at the level that they can, I have a feeling we're going to make the MAC tournament and place very well this year.
Well, thank you guys so much. We take it from the hardwood to the mat. The Golden Flashes wrestling team will come back from Boiling Springs, North Carolina, winless. Kent State lost their trio of matches against Buffalo, Chattanooga, and Gardner-Webb. The Flashes got a trio of big-time individual wins as Billy Meisner earned a major decision, as well as Blake Schaefer and Josh Bogan dominating in the heavyweights. Kyle Snyder picked up the only victory against Chattanooga, earning an 8-3 win. The Flashes will welcome in VMI, Mount Union, and Gannon for the Kent State Quad at the MAC Friday at 1 p.m.
And the Kent State football team has something to celebrate from this past season with some All-MAC awards. Wide receiver Krishawn McCray was named first team All-MAC, and place kicker Andrew Glass earned a second team. McCray led the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns despite missing the final 3 games with an injury. Glass connected for 15 of 17 field goals, which was third in the MAC, as was his 88% hit rate. Defensive lineman CJ West and wide receiver Luke Floria were both named third team. The Golden Flashes will turn their attention to the offseason with early signing day on December 12th.
Speaking of All-MAC honors, 2 members of the Kent State soccer team were named to the United Soccer Coaches All-Midwest Region teams. Sophomore Kelsey Salopek earned second team honors, while junior Elisa Arthur was named to the third team. This is the first all-region recognition for both of the student athletes. Salopek started all 21 games for the Flashes at left back after tying for the team lead in goals her freshman year last season. Arthur led the Flashes in goals, assists, points, shots, and shots on goals. Her 6-game winning goals tied for the most in a single season and program history.
Well, this is a show full of All-MAC honors. Last up, we have the Kent State field hockey team. Freshman Ava Usos received NFHCA All-West Region second team honors. Usos led the Golden Flashes with 22 points in her debut season, scoring a team-high 9 assists. She was named MAC Conference Freshman of the Year and selected the All-MAC first team.
Kent State is set to co-host the Canadian Collegiate Invitational Tournament in 2024. The tournament will be conducted by Golf Canada and co-hosted with Penn State University. It will feature the NCAA Division I men's golf teams along the team champions of the 2024 Canadian University/College Championship. The tournament will take place at Ovenbird Golf Club in Mactier, Ontario from September 15th through the 17th.
And we have some football state championship scores as we wrapped up the high school season. St. Edward's goes 3 in a row for the championship against Springfield, winning 31-21. Massillon knocking off Hoban 7-2. Toledo Central Catholic won pretty easily against Waterson at 27-7 in that Division III game. Glenville knocking off Alter 38-3 in Division IV. And Perry winning 21-14 against Liberty Center. And rounding it out, Kirkland knocking off Versailles 32-15.
Now we've got some high school basketball heading around Ohio. Things are heating up. We've got Hudson, who took down Roosevelt 53-30. Aurora had a tight game with Chagrin Falls beating them 52-44. Twinsburg absolutely dominating the Kenston Bombers 64-19, and Wadsworth and Worcester were in a shootout late. Wadsworth won 66-56, and Nordonia, another dominant win on this slate. Nordonia took down Mayfield 70-35.
Well, buckle in, everyone, because the college football playoff is upon us. Find out who's in the top 4 and has a shot at the national championship.
Fancy pants peanut butter?
A big screen television. You haven't even bought a sofa yet.
A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Jimmy can't sing,
and Tommy can't dance.
so we're gonna put some ants in their pants.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
Well, hello friends, I'm Dom O'Brien.
And I'm David Williams. On Saturday, champions were crowned in the college football as the country was treated to some great action, as we won't see these powerhouses for the next month or so.
And we're going to start with Oregon and Washington. Let's see if they can catch the same thrill they did earlier in the year. As we said, Michael Penix Jr. right here, one of the top QBs in America. First shot here, Bo Nix lighting up down the center for a nice throw for the score. At this point, it makes it 20-17. It's midway through the third. Down in the fourth, Oregon up by 4, but Dylan Johnson powering it in, 27-24 Huskies. Later in the final quarter, Penix flips it out to Quentin Moore. As Penix, a little lofty pass there, if you will. Quentin Moore hasn't had too much action this time, and that'll make it a double-digit lead, 34-24. But Oregon, well, you know they're not done yet. 2:23 remaining in the fourth, and a strike thrown from Bo Nix. As look at this, he's going to shed a few tackles, go down the sideline, and get into the end zone. It was so quick. It was a tightrope walk. You look at it again. How did he get in? No one will ever know, but that was the case. Oregon fighting back in this one, but Washington trying to seal the deal. Again, Johnson running for the first down and sliding down on the 22 to ice this victory. Washington is your Pac-12 victors for the first time since 2018. They win it 34-31. Let's send it to another championship matchup.
And from Sin City to Jerry World, let's go to the Big 12 as Texas and Oklahoma State. In the first, the Longhorns up 7-0. Texas brings out some trickery with Quinn Ewers launching the ball to Anthony Hill Jr. The freshman is left wide open. That's 14-0 Texas. In the late first, Texas driving again, and sound the alarms because we have a big man touchdown. Tavondre Sweat left wide open in the end zone, 21-7 Longhorns. Going into the second, running back C.J. Baxter gets the ball to the middle, and he just will not go down, allowing for another touchdown for Texas. That's 28-7. Now Oklahoma State making the score 28-14, but breaking news, so does Texas. Ewers finds Jaden Blue on screen. The route is on deep in the heart of Texas. Texas wins the Big 12 for the first time in 14 years, 49-21.
Now we've got the SEC Championship, and I know everyone was excited for this, and boy, did it deliver. Bulldogs on 2nd and 7. Kendall Milton takes the handoff. He's going to bust through the line and take off to the end zone to put the Bulldogs up 7-0 in the first. The Tide backed up on 1st and 20. Milroe fires to Jam Miller, who runs to the sideline and tacks on 6 for Alabama as they now lead 10-7 with under a minute to go in the half. Milroe connects with Jermaine Burton. Now Burton will initially bobble this pass, as you guys are going to see, but he comes down with the ball. Taking a look, killer route running by Burton, and Alabama leads 17-7 going into halftime. Moving to the fourth, the Tide leads by 10, and Kendall Milton launches into the end zone on 4th and goal to pull the Bulldogs within 3 and keep their playoff hopes alive. But all Alabama needs to complete the upset is a first down, and Milroe, he's going to do it himself. He finds the open route, and he initially drops the ball, recovers it, and Alabama wins the SEC, and Georgia will not make the college playoffs.
Jim Harbaugh back on the sidelines after serving his suspension for cheating, and the Michigan Wolverines got going early in this one. Samaj Morgan with a great punt return, taking it back all the way to the 5-yard line. But watch Iowa's gunner Cohen Entrinker chasing him all the way down after missing the initial tackle to knock him out at the 5-yard line. Michigan, it was all them all day. Blake, the great Corum, scores it 3 yards out. He had another multiple touchdown game as he notched 252 yards on 16 carries. Here's his second one, and a local Iowa bar ran a promotion giving away free beer until Iowa scored. Let's just see how long the patrons were drinking on the bar's tab. It was all night, 26-0. Michigan beats Iowa in the Big Ten championship, and that local bar will be having to buy beers for a while.
Let's wrap it all up in Charlotte for the ACC title game. Louisville versus Florida State. In the third, game time to 3. This is Knowles running back Lawrence Tulafili out of the Wildcat, and he has the edge, the sideline, and he has daylight. Shedding a few tackles, gets out of bounds there. A 73-yard run for the young man. Next play, once again, Tulafili will do it again, as he'll take it right up the center, fighting his way to the end zone for the score. 10-2 at this point. Let's go to the fourth. Cards got a field goal and are looking for more, but Jack Plummer's pass is picked in the end zone. We're going to get it up here in a moment. Louisville trying to find it. Interception in the end zone. 6-10 the score there. It was a low-scoring affair at that time. 10 minutes remaining here in the fourth quarter. Now shut it to 1.5. Louisville just trying to look for something, but he comes empty, and that'll bring the ACC title over to Florida State. The Noles getting the victory. It was a hard-fought battle, but they were able to go ahead and get this one, as that'll be knotted up 16-6 with fireworks shooting off in the background.
Well, we've made some jokes this semester that there hasn't been much movement in the top 10, but there was a lot of movement after this week's games. Michigan at that number 1 spot, Washington at 2, Texas at 3. Here's what shocked the world: Alabama at 4, Florida State at 5, Georgia at 6, Ohio State 7, Oregon and Missouri at 8 and 9, and Penn State at 10.
So with the top 10 set, let's take a look at our New Year's 6 games, starting with the college football playoff. The first matchup is that controversial one, with many fans feeling Alabama's spot should belong to the Florida State Seminoles. Nevertheless, the Rose Bowl between the Wolverines and the Crimson Tide will kick off on New Year's Day at 5 p.m.
Moving on to the Sugar Bowl, the Big 12 champion Texas Longhorns will make their first appearance in college football playoff in program history. The boys in burnt orange will be tested by Heisman hopeful Michael Penix and a potent Washington offense. Kickoff in New Orleans for semifinal number 2 will be at New Year's Day at 8:45 p.m.
Down in Miami Gardens, the SEC runner-up Georgia Bulldogs will go head-to-head with the notable playoff reject and ACC champion Florida State. The matchup between the 5th and 6th ranked teams in the nation will kick off December 30th at 4 p.m. Look for the Seminoles to be out for revenge and be ready to make a statement.
Across the country in Glendale, the Liberty Flames will make their first appearance in a New Year's Six Bowl against the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix has already confirmed he will be playing in the game, despite being one of the top quarterbacks available in this year's draft. This one will be a playoff appetizer as it kicks off New Year's Day at 1 p.m.
Liberty, let's see if they can make a jump there. Arlington, Texas plays host to the Cotton Bowl, which will be the first New Year's Six Bowl for the Missouri Tigers in 10 seasons. Standing in their way are the Big Ten East runner-up Ohio State Buckeyes, who could be starting a quarterback not named Kyle McCord for the first time this season. Kickoff is December 29th at 8 p.m.
Finally, we've got the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, which will showcase Northeast Ohio's own Drew Aller and the Penn State Nittany Lions taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin will coach Ole Miss to their second New Year's Six Bowl in 3 seasons. Kickoff is slated for December 30th at noon. Well, guys, after going through all of those matchups that have happened this weekend, which one surprised you the most?
What do you think?
Well, for me, I mean, to see Florida State not in that top 4, me personally, it's a little upsetting. I mean, you look at those top 2, obviously they belong there. Michigan, phenomenal team. But for them to go out and say that Florida State doesn't belong in that top 4, I think is a little crazy.
The matchups we saw this past weekend were all fantastic matchups. I mean, with all due respect, there were some that weren't as well as the others. Let's just put it blank. Michigan and Ohio and Iowa, I mean, let's just say it. It was the thing that we all saw coming. But at the same time, it was very interesting to see how Louisville stood up to Florida State. And Florida State, fantastic team, but they're not the same without their quarterback. I mean, we saw it. If Florida State had Jordan Travis, they would have been able to go up by probably 20 in that game, maybe even more. But at that point, you just got to say it is what it is. A very surprising matchup I saw was obviously the Washington and Oregon game. That was absolutely phenomenal. They both played fantastic ball. But Washington coming out on top. A lot of people favoring Oregon in that stance. All great matchups. It was the Florida State, which we are going to discuss next, are we not?
Yes, we are, because we saw those top 4 teams in the college playoffs. We've heard the nation's reactions. I'd like to see what you guys have to say about that.
Personally, I mean, if you're going to go undefeated and not make it in, I think it's a little absurd if you ask me. You can argue that they may not have done the same thing if we're without their quarterback. However, if this is based on what ifs, why not give them a try?
Yeah, that is true.
It's really just, it's shocking, but at the same time, it's not. We kind of expected this from the committee. The committee is made up of 13 great men, but none of them are directly involved with college football in the helm. They don't know what it's like to see those teams without their guys. I'm sure that a lot of people understood that, Florida State wouldn't be the same team at that point, but it is the way it is. You look at Michigan, Washington, top places, right? That undisputed, of course.
Yes.
Texas, great Big 12 team, absolutely phenomenal. And the only reason why Alabama is in there is because Texas beat them in the regular season. Yeah. So that's the point we're trying to make here. As Florida State, they did great. Don't get me wrong, undefeated season, right? Mm-hmm. They just were not going to be the same team without their quarterback. Quite frankly, they might have gotten tossed around in that final game against whomever they would have played if that seeding worked out correctly. I don't know about it. I don't know.
And guys, what games are you guys excited to watch around the new year?
I, for certain, am going to want to watch how Washington performs against Texas. We've seen what Texas can do, right? We've seen how well that Quinn Ewers can throw the ball. We've seen what Michael Penix can do. He is a legit quarterback and a legit Heisman candidate. On the other side, that's going to be Bama and that's going to be Michigan. Michigan, they're going to do their thing. They don't need Jim Harbaugh to do their thing, that's for sure. I mean, Michigan has done a great job all season, even with all the controversy, but I'm more excited to see that 2-3 matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree, but I will say I may not be the biggest fan of Michigan. However, they are a phenomenal team. You can't dispute that. Like them or not, it is just a fantastic program, and I really don't think they need that head coach there to even perform that well. They have the talent, and I ultimately think they're just a fun team to watch.
I know those playoff games are going to be absolutely exciting, but I raise you gentlemen a game I'm very excited about, Ohio State and Missouri. Now, why am I excited for this game? Because I think this game is going to show what the future of the potential for Ohio State is going to be, because I think more than likely we're not going to be seeing Kyle McCord run that offense. It's going to be interesting to see who they roll out. And I've been closely watching the Tigers this whole season. They are really good. They have what I would consider to be, hot take, one of the top 5 running backs in the country behind Cody Schrader, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they match up. I know that everyone loves the playoff games, but I think that one's going to be excellent. Plus, Liberty making their New Year's 6 debut, that's going to be exciting.
It's going to be a fun one.
And we've got a great slate this year. There have been other years where there have been some games where they're going to be blowouts and they're not going to be as exemplary as some other games. But honestly, this year, there are no bad games, and I will be firmly planted on the couch come January 1st.
And one thing I can't wait to see is Kyle McCord entered that transfer portal. Who's going to be the Buckeyes starting quarterback next season?
It's going to be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys so much. The Cleveland Browns try to bounce back from their loss against the Broncos with a new but vintage quarterback. Find out if Joe Flacco will return to his Super Bowl MVP self.
Catch Kent Core Fridays at 9 p.m. TV2 Entertainment. See what's up.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The Cleveland Browns go to Hollywood to take on the 2022 Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. Let's take it on down to SoFi Stadium. Matt Stafford at QB for the Rams, and it's Joe Flacco's first drive as a Cleveland Brown, and he starts it off with some heat, fakes the handoff, then fires to Jerome Ford, who makes a grab, then falls into the end zone. Cleveland jumps out to an early 7-0 lead. Stafford and the Rams looking to strike back. He'll drop back and fire a laser across the middle to Puka Nacua, and his fantasy owners are very happy with this one. He gets a 70-yard touchdown and reaches 1,000 career yards to put the Rams up 10-7 in the first quarter. 45 seconds left in the third. Rams are on second and goal. Stafford connects with Demarcus Robinson for a short 70-yard touchdown. The Rams extend their lead 20-13. Brown had his fingerprints all across that drive. The Browns responding later in the fourth. Flacco lobs it over to Harrison Bryant, who outruns defenders for 6. The Browns trail 19-20 Cleveland. Back on offense, Flacco with plenty of time in the pocket fires deep downfield to Elijah Moore, but gets picked off. And hey, Cleveland fans know that guy. John Johnson III gets a hold of Flacco's pass and returns it 42 yards. Johnson called this his get-back game, but this was his only notable play of the game, so I'll leave that up for you all to decide. Now, it is 3rd and goal for the Rams. Stafford fires his favorite target, Cooper Kupp, and that will be the dagger. The Browns could not complete the comeback, and the Rams get a much-needed win to improve to 6-6, and the Browns fall to 7-5.
What's going on, Portage County? I'm Katie Waggle.
And I'm Anthony Leonardi.
And would you look at the time? I think it's time we take you around the NFL. So let's get started with Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks as they play Thursday night in Arlington, as both teams are looking for a big win to solidify their postseason hopes. The Seahawks know how big this game is. They're fired up and ready to roll. We jump into the second, Cowboys up 17-7, but Zach Esbarnone takes it right up the gut to trim the Dallas lead. With the half nearly coming to a close, Geno Smith finds DK Metcalf to put Seattle on top at the break, 21-20. In the third, another goal-to-go situation for Seattle, and Geno Smith rises to the occasion. The 5-yard touchdown scramble puts the Hawks on top by 8. Flag going against Dallas. But the Cowboys are driving. Dak Prescott pitches to Tony Pollard, and he'll take care of the rest to make it 28-27. Seahawks will try to counterpunch as Smith finds the loneliest man in Texas in DK for 6. Seattle extends the lead as we see Metcalf celebrates with fans. But Prescott looks to get the lead back, and he will find Jake Ferguson for a 16-yard pass. And as the clock winds down, stop for Dallas defense will do it. Cowboys win a shootout 41-35 as their 14th win in a row at home.
That was a great game, Katie. Now we are going to go to Acrisure Stadium as Mike Tomlin and the Steelers took on the Cardinals and first-time head coach Jonathan Gannon. Kenny Pickett is going to set up the Steelers on the 1-yard line. He did get injured on the play. Mitch Trubisky ended up finishing the game for Pittsburgh, and Najee Harris, despite a dominant run game for the Steelers, could not find his way into the end zone on this play. And from here on out, it was pretty much all Cardinals. Kyler Murray connected with Trey McBride. He did not score on this play. The officials ended up reversing it, but the very next play, Trey McBride did end up catching a touchdown pass. Ball don't lie. But now, at the end of the half, they're going to march the ball down 99-yard touchdown. They are going to do the same thing the next time they touch the ball. This time, James Conner, what a game did he have. He had 25 rushes, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that pouring rain. That delay felt like forever on Sunday. And there he is again, getting himself into the end zone. Awesome game for him. Good win for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to stun the Steelers at home and advance to 3-10 on the season. Now to NRG Stadium. Blake, how about them Texans?
Oh, there's CJ Stroud and them are looking to stay alive in a playoff hunt against a red-hot Denver Bronco team. And on this first play, Stroud's going to air it out to Nico Collins, who had a big day with Tank Dell sadly going down with a broken fibula. He's out for the season. Awesome season from Dell. Nico Collins played a big one, and he's going to have to keep stepping up in that role. Well, good job by the Broncos defense today. Only gave up 41 yards, but Dameon Pierce did get in, as you saw there, from 4 yards out. 16-3 now. Cortland Sutton making a spectacular contorting catch for a 45-yard touchdown. You watch that again. Watch, he's falling off balance, makes the catch into the end zone for 6. 2 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown for Sutton. The Texans answer right back, and look who it is, Nico Collins. 9 receptions, 191 yards, and a touchdown on the day for Collins. Denver trying to make the comeback. Jerry Jeudy helps it out with a grown man's yak, taking 4 Texans to take him down all the way down to the 1-yard line, but it would not be enough as Denver comes up just short, snapping their 5-game win streak. 17-22 Houston final.
We've been waiting all day for Sunday night and the return of Taylor Swift. Just kidding. Packers took on the Chiefs in Lambeau. Love's going to scramble out of the pocket, and on the Packers' first drive, they get a touchdown. Ben Sims leads the Packers 7-zip. The Packers back in the red zone up 7-3, and can you feel the love tonight? Well, Christian Watson sure can. He makes a great snag in the back of the end zone to put the Packers up 14-3 in the second quarter. Kansas City gets a touchdown, and Green Bay storms right back down the field, and Love was simply elite last night here. We have another passing touchdown to Watson. This was his third passing touchdown of the game. He also threw for 267 yards, but we all know Patrick Mahomes won't go quietly. He hits Noah Gray for a 2-yard touchdown, and the Chiefs trail 21-19. Last try for Mahomes. Seconds to go on 4th and 10. He's looking for the Hail Mary, but first is going to do a little bit of trickery, maybe looking for a lateral, then decides to hurl it downfield, but it gets broken up in the end zone, and the Packers defeat the Chiefs 27-19. Green Bay improves to 6-6, and Kansas City falls to 8-4.
All right, guys, that was an awesome weekend of football, but Liv, what do we think of Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns?
Honestly, this is a take that I think a lot of people are going to agree with. Flacco needs to stay as Cleveland's starting quarterback for as long as we need him. I just think Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I mean, he's a rookie and he's done pretty well, but with the slate of games that we have left, if Cleveland wants to make any sort of playoff push, they need a really strong veteran leadership at QB, and I think, quite frankly, that's going to be Flacco. Dorian Thompson-Robinson should absolutely be the backup. I think P.J. Walker should not be seeing the field for a very long time, but I honestly think it's Flacco or bust. What do you think?
You know, I completely agree. I mean, Joe Flacco, it looked like he's been playing all season for the most part. I mean, when you watched that game, aside from that interception, he was making good reads, he was making good throws, he was spreading the ball around the field, and that's what you ask for when you need a quarterback. And to build off of that DTR point you made, it's before he was learning from Watson, and now he still has the opportunity to learn from a guy like Flacco. And I think that could really benefit his career. I don't really think it would be a good idea to have him start the rest of these games because, like you said, there's a very tough slate of games coming up. And if we lose, that could be the end of the season for the Cleveland Browns. So I think Flacco is also the best quarterback that they should trot out onto that field.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to bring up another point of another quarterback that we're missing at the helm. And with Mitch Trubisky leading that Steelers team, he had 11 and 17 for his throws at the helm of the Steelers, missing out with Kenny Pickett. I was just, so many injuries going around the NFL. Just, it's amazing.
I also thought that he also threw a touchdown pass. We haven't seen one of those from Kenny Pickett in weeks. I think he's had maybe one, maybe two since October. So I think maybe a quarterback change at Pittsburgh, that could stir the pot in their quarterback room and maybe for the team looking forward. We'll have to see about that one, though. They got to perform.
I certainly don't think that a quarterback change would be an all too unwelcome thing to be seen for the Steelers. One could make the argument that they could have made a quarterback change even sooner, barring Kenny's injury. But I think that Mitch Trubisky has that kind of veteran leadership that's needed. Now, they've also got Mason Rudolph. Now, granted, Rudolph really hasn't played in a game or been successful in any game in many, many eons, but they have him as well, and I think Pickett should take this time to rest up because the AFC North is going to be an absolute dogfight. Well, for 3 teams, it's going to be an absolute dogfight. But for one team, they're still in the hunt. The Bengals, don't rule them out yet. I mean, right now, they're playing the Bengals and the Jags. So let's take a look at that score. Right now, it is 7-7. Joe Mixon had a 6-yard touchdown run. Travis Etienne with a 4-yard touchdown run. And right now, it is 2nd and 6 on the Jags' own 40. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Well, the NBA season is in full blast and the in-season tournament is starting to take shape. When we return, we take you around the NBA.
Hey, did you know that 2.4 million shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Go to theshelterpetproject.org and search your local shelters and rescues. Go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
These activities help our young men become very strong.
Steps. First, our super secret cyber scanners scan the World Wide Web for feeble-minded firmware such as your own.
My name is Joe Finch, divorce attorney and used car salesman.
Catch the agenda Thursdays at 9 p.m. TV2 Entertainment. See what's up.
Welcome back, and the Cleveland Cavaliers look to bounce back from their upset loss to the Portland Trailblazers. Let's see if they can get it done against Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. J.B. Bickerstaff and the Cavs visiting arguably the worst team in the league, the Detroit Pistons. Currently, they're sitting on a 17-game losing streak, sitting at 2-18 on the year. But they started off really strong in this one. Cade Cunningham throws it up to Jalen Duren, who slams it home with two hands. And the Cavs have had a problem playing down to their opponent's level this whole season, and it was evident in this first half as it stayed pretty close. Garland nets a three there, and we got some good ball movement. Max Strus in rhythm, knocking it down, and the Cavaliers starting to grow that lead just a little bit. But off the inbound pass, Cade Cunningham just nets it from deep. The number 1 overall pick, 23 points and 11 assists for him on the night. Bad turnover here from Garland leads to points for the Pistons. As we just saw that earlier in this highlight, Cunningham to Duren once again. Detroit taking that 4-point lead. Cleveland finally turned it on in the fourth. Isaac Okoro gets a bird in the paint and finishes with the right. Okoro spreading those stats around like he usually does, at 9 points, 4 assists, and 6 boards. Spite is going to add the cherry on top as he splashes a deep three from the wing. Mitchell contributed 20 points in 33 minutes, and the Cavaliers win it 110-101.
Good evening, Portage County. I'm Alex Isaiah.
And I'm Pat Sartor.
And what a slate of games there were in the NBA this weekend. From Sacramento to Charlotte, North Carolina, there's plenty of land to cover. So join us as we go around the NBA. We will start in Utah as the Jazz take on the Portland Trailblazers. And Shaedon Sharpe can get things started here. He was all over this highlight. Jesse Lucky was all over Walker Kessler on this dunk. Look at it one more time. He slams all over Walker Kessler. Don't contest him when he's in the lane. And Sharpe, once again in the fourth quarter, he's driving. This time he's going to pass it to Toumani Camara, and he's going to jam all over Walker Kessler again. He heard Walker Kessler was handing out posters, and he said, I'll take one as well. Big dunk fest here early. And Shaedon Sharpe, late in the game, passes it to Malcolm Brogdon for this three to tie it up, and he hits it to take this game into overtime. The Jazz now, Keontae George, he's going to drive in the lane, defended, but Omer Yurtseven with a tip slam to take the lead. Shaedon Sharpe, game on the line. He's driving. No bucket, looking for the foul. The refs don't call it, and the Jazz will hang on to win this game 118-113 in this Western Conference affair. And how is the other Western Conference affair, Pat Sartor?
Yep, we're going out to the next one here, and it's Curry there. You see him? He's just ever so resilient for that Warriors team, always coming up clutch. Kevon Looney, he dropped something here. He dropped a dime on the ground this time, as it's Kuminga inside for the slam, and that's going to be good for 2 as we're in the fourth here. Real close one between the Clippers and the Warriors here as Kuminga lays the slam in that time. And here's Harden. He's going to give this off to George, and then Daniel Tice for the dunk. Harden getting some things done in there in LA. Who would have thought? Harden contributing to team success. You go, James Harden. As we continue on, it's Paul George against Klay Thompson. Get him a toothbrush, because he all over right here. Paul George hits the three. Go up by 1 with 8 seconds left. Are you kidding me, Paul George? How clutch do you want to be there? Playoff P. Little bit of what we're seeing there from George. Curry here on this one. Kicks it outside, a last chance to Draymond, but Draymond there might as well be Shaq, because that 3-ball had no shot of going in. Bounces way up high, over everywhere. And the Clippers win by 1, thanks to Paul George and that clutch 3-pointer.
Now we have the reigning champs taking on the Sacramento Kings, the Denver Nuggets. Let's get into the action. Kings up by 3. Malik Monk dishes it to De'Aaron Fox in the corner, and Sacramento leads by 6 off of that Fox 3, and he had a killer game. He was carving it up. A clean step back jumper here with 1 second left in the half. Fox finished the game with 26 points. We head into the third. Sacramento up by 13. Aaron Gordon fighting his way into the paint and hits a killer slam dunk to cut the deficit to 11. Gordon finishes with 27 points, and don't look now, but the Nuggets have pulled it within 8 in the fourth. Gordon all alone in the corner. There's a 3, and the Nuggets are mounting a comeback, but the Nuggets will not let that happen. Kevin Huerter ices it for the Kings. Clean 3 outside the arc, and the Kings win it 120-112, despite Jokic getting his 8th triple-double of the season. He now leads the NBA in triple-doubles, but we're going to take it out to Charlotte. Blake, how is Minnesota doing?
Well, they have been fantastic all season, and yet again, they do it tonight. You see that right there, 13 wins in November for the T-Wolves, just been on fire. And it's been this trio right here, Mike Conley, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert. Big night for Gobert, dropping 28 points, 12 points, double-double for the Frenchman. As we wind it down into the fourth quarter, look at that. It's Scary Terry Hours as he puts a plethora of moves on Kyle Anderson. Step back, bag that three to give the Hornets the lead. 23 points in 35 minutes from the Youngstown native. T-Wolves back up. Conley runs the pick and roll with Cat, who drives right down the lane and makes it look easy for a 7-footer. Big night for Cat also as he finished with a leading 28 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists. And Minnesota takes it 123-117, improving to a fantastic 15-4 on the year. So guys, a lot of fun highlights right there. Who is the team to beat in the East?
Well, I think the Boston Celtics are the team to beat in the East. They're the 1 seed right now, and I think they're the easy answer, but it's because they've been so good in the regular season especially. This offense with Tatum and Jaylen Brown has been unreal. Bless you. They've been at a really high field goal percentage. They're really good on the defensive side. They added Jrue Holiday, who I think is a good defensive closer. You have a fourth quarter closer on offense. You have a fourth quarter closer on offense like Jason Tatum, and on the defensive side you have Jrue Holiday, who is really good at making those key stops when the Celtics need it, and that'll be much needed in the playoff run when it comes around.
I think it's splitting hairs, Alex. I really think it is with the Celtics and the Sixers, right? So with the Sixers, that duo has been working really well. We thought the Sixers were working to get a trio working, and it never seemed to work. Now Maxey and Embiid, they're almost elevating each other more. There's not that third man. They're just finding ways to elevate each other's success here. So ball distribution, I really like what they're doing there for the Sixers. Less is more with the duo, and I think Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre, if he can come back, I know there's a lot of things going on with Oubre right now, right? Hopefully things are going okay, and he can work things out there. But yeah, I think Sixers, Celtics, it's really, right there. Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a hot point of contention on NBA Twitter. What are your guys' thoughts on the in-season tournament?
A lot of people said it's a silly little thing. Why are we doing this? Who cares, right? Is $500,000 enough of an incentive to get these players interested? I would hope so. I would think so anyways, a little bit, right? $500K, I do a lot. I think we do a lot for $500K a little bit, huh? Yeah. And so, look, the viewership is up. So it's kind of working, right? It's this new thing, and I think there's a lot of curiosity, and we want to see how it goes. But viewership up, maybe is some of that due to gambling being available now in more parts of the country for the entirety of the season. That could have something to do with it. But I think at the end of the day, it's a good thing to do, and viewership's up, so it's working.
I don't know. I disagree. I think the viewership may be up because they're on very key days on the weekends, so that's when a lot of people are watching these games. I also think these teams are playing each other. They're playing the same teams. This is the same as the playoffs. It's West versus East. Nothing's really changing here. They're just changing the name and giving them a fake trophy. Not fake, but for all intents and purposes, the trophy, they don't feel like they're playing for anything, and so you still see players not playing these games. And I think you also have to look at other sports like soccer. They have their in-season tournament that's very different. They play different teams and it's set up differently, and I think that's what they were trying to do, but they kind of failed a little bit on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, I think it's just adding an avenue, right? So we hear all the time, right? Basketball comes back in October, and for so much of it, it's, who cares about the beginning of the NBA, right? And so they're really just trying to address that. They're trying to get these, because the nasty thing in the NBA is when you go to a game and the star player's out, right? And so make those games mean something. That's what it's all about. Hopefully, hopefully that'll participate for that. Yeah, absolutely.
I like the in-season tournament. I think it's pretty fun. It brings a little more atmosphere to the games. It's always like, as you said, it starts in October. Well, we still got baseball. We still got football. We got a lot of football to be played. It gets just more things going on in the NBA, and I think that's going to help the game. It's going to expand the game, and that's what the NBA needs. So going on to another thing in the NBA, the Magic looking real hot at the beginning of the season. Are they for real?
I think they can be for real. I think they're second in the East right now. They're number 2 in bench scoring. I think it's very important. It shows how deep they are as a team. This team is very young, and they're playing really well and spreading the ball around really well. And I think long term, this young team can stay healthy rather than an older team like maybe the Clippers or the Lakers. And I think this can be a big benefit for them. And they're also number 3 in net rating, getting those turnovers and steals on defense.
Can I ask you what you mean by for real? Where do you see the Magic finishing? Seed-wise.
I think they can make a first-round win in the playoffs.
Okay, first-round win. I mean, when you look at for real, right? It's kind of it's a funky thing we're throwing out there. Are they for real? What does that even really mean? Well, they just lost the 1 seed to the Celtics. They did. Now the Celtics back in first there in the East. I don't know that necessarily they're for real. I see them making the playoffs. I don't know if top 5 seed is necessarily what we're looking at. I think you need it's important in the NBA. We see this so many times with teams, and we see this is sometimes the reason why teams fall short. The Magic don't have a single player who averages more than 6 rebounds or 4 assists a game. And they really don't have that signature 3-ball shooter. A little bit from Wagner, but I would worry about sustained success for the Magic this year. They're building a young core, really nice young core.
Exciting,
and yeah, you said it, exciting for sure.
Well, I think the Nuggets, if I may say, the Nuggets, they kind of built the blueprint for the Magic, or trying to copy off of, I feel like. And I think this deep young team is what they're trying to do, and I think they're doing it really well so far. And I think as the season goes on, they can get a lot better and better and make it run in the playoffs. I think so.
So we saw the Cavaliers started in a poor spot. Do you think the Magic or the Cavs are going to finish higher in the East?
Alex, you go ahead on that one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Go ahead.
I think they land on Magic. I'll say they land on Magic.
I'm going to take the Cavs only because you have a little bit of more veteran experience there. They're better at rebounding the ball and they're a better defensive team. Give me the Cavs. I hope so. Anyways, come on. You think so, right?
I just think the Magic are very hot right now, and I think the Cavs are kind of the opposite. They're not really consistently performing well.
Very fair.
It's going to be a tough one either way. I mean, I could see that young core staying hot throughout the season, but we've seen a lot of young teams start to fall off once you get past that All-Star break for the Magic. And as the Cavs added some veteran presence, and Max Strus, he did well on the Heat with them. I think that we're going to get a little bit better throughout the year.
So much basketball.
Yeah.
We're a fifth of the way done, folks. So much. I mean, we don't even know what it's going to look like in a month. No. So much.
Well, thank you guys. A Sports Corner finale couldn't be complete without some NHL action, so don't go anywhere and lace up those skates for Sports Corner on Ice.
Bless you! Woo! Come on! Go, Diane! Yeah, keep it going! Yeah! Go, honey!
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane! Woo! You got this!
Welcome back. The Columbus Blue Jackets hit the road to Beantown to face the Boston Bruins. We'll take it at TD Garden. You see a nice shot of the Garden in Boston as the slumping 8-14-4 Blue Jackets taking on the 17-4-3 Bruins. But time winding down in the second period, the Jackets get on the board first as Matthew Oliver serves it up on a platter to Boone Jenner, who finishes the job. Jenner leading the Columbus in goals this year. That was number 13. More terrific passing. This time it's from the home team, dishing it as Charlie Coyle sends it to cross ice to Brad Marchand, who nets it on the far side. Much more from Marchand in this one. This time, Boston's going to be on the power play. Marchand's going to get it at the top. Fire that wrister from the top and puts it in. Marchand, 2 goals in the third period now. I wonder who's going to get the third. Marchand was the Columbus killer today as he's going to net that hat trick once again on the power play. A beautiful shot to the far side, and here come the Hats. Columbus head coach Pascal Vincent pretty summing up how all Jackets are feeling this season. Boston taking this one 3-1 and will face Buffalo Sabres on Thursday, while the Jackets host the LA Kings tomorrow.
How's it going, Portage County? I'm Michael Neenan.
And I'm Della Fowler.
Well, Kent skates may be gone, but that doesn't mean we can't go on ice.
So, lace them up, grab your bucket, and we'll take Sports Corner on the ice. We'll go to the worst team in the NHL taking on one of the best. What could go wrong, friends? We'll pick it up in the second with a tie game, but not for long, with Speed Cully puts the Empire State up 4-3, taking the lead back, and the Rangers are not going to stop the beat down on the San Jose Sharks. Rangers again with speed. He's going to save it on the backhand, but the rebound is there. Drop your hats, New York. Call Artemi Panarin and please ask him to buy you a new hat because he just got a hattie. Rangers are up 5-3. Toss your hat on the ice. Boys in blue now applying pressure once again, and Keandre Miller has turned this game from a close one to an absolute blowout. 6-3 now Rangers. The Sharks will try to bite back with a pair of goals in the third, but the Rangers hold on and sit pretty at the top of the Metro with the 6-5 win, and will now have a battle for the best blue and yellow team with Michael Neenan.
All right, now let's take things upstate as the Buffalo Sabres host the Nashville Predators. Take things to the first period because Colton Sissons, he'll shoot, and Jakov Trenin deflects it right in to put the Preds up 2-0. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen went right through his two-hole. He had no chance at saving that thing. Let's take things to the second period because Victor Olofsson, he'll get a rush attempt, and it was a little too good for Jeremy Lauzon as he gets his stick right in front of him. He'll get called for an interference. So that means Juuse Saros, he's going to have to defend against the penalty shot. Now, how did he do? Well, not so good because Victor Olofsson will score on the penalty shot to give the Preds a 2-1 lead this time around. Sabres would have an opportunity in the third period, but Juuse Saros, he turns into a brick wall, and as the buzzer sounds, he gives the Predators a 2-1 win. Preds are back to 500, and Sabres, despite having a great season last year, this team is still struggling, and they just can't find a way to win.
Now we have the Minnesota Wild taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Minnesota starting things off on the power play. They lead 1-0. Brock Faber swings it over to Frederick Gaudreau, who snipes it to Marcus Rossi, who nets his second goal of the day as the Wild lead 2-0 in the first period. Good puck movement from the Wild, and Matt Zuccarello scores off a great slap shot from Kirill Kaprizov, and Zuccarello knows that was a pro move from Kaprizov to put the Wild up 3-0. Minnesota once again on the power play. Wild slowing down the pace of the game here, but they heat up fast with Matt Boldy scoring off the assist from Zuccarello. Take a look. Zuccarello just smashes it towards the goal, and Boldy tips it in, and the Wild lead 4-0. Chicago on the power play trying to avoid the shutout, and they do off the goal from Taylor Radish, but it is too little, too late. The Wild get the 4-1 win over Chicago and improve to 8-10-4. They are now 7th in the Central Division. Meanwhile, Chicago falls to 7-16 and are now 8th in the Central Division. Well, another Central team hit the ice yesterday. Blake, let's check in with Colorado.
That is right. Let's head out west to finish it up inside Crypto.com Arena as the Avalanche visited the Kings. Avs up 1-0 in the second, but the Kings run a terrific break with Kopitar dropping the pass to Mikey Anderson, who snipes it past Alexander Georgiev at first glance. But looking at it again, we see that Quinton Byfield got his stick on the puck to redirect it into the net, so that is a goal for Byfield. Byfield, he wasn't done yet, as Adrian Kemp gives him a perfect centering pass, and Byfield sees nothing but net in front of him as the Kings go up 2-1. Now, we have seen some great passing tonight. It's time for some stick work, and Mr. Trevor Moore is going to deliver that as he hits the B button, then goes bartender, top shelf, as the Kings put it up 3-1 over Georgiev's shoulders, and the Kings with an impressive win, taking this one 4-1 over Colorado.
Now, in the holiday spirit, I think we should get a little jolly and talk about what each team's biggest wish is for Christmas.
Well, I'll go first. You know what? I think the Oilers desperately need goaltending. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now, and I'll say it again. Right now, that team cannot play a lick of defense. Their defensive zone needs to be a little bit better. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are going to need to carry once again, but until the team gets better defensive zone and can get some real goaltending, I just don't see them improving much anytime soon. What about you, Della?
I think every Islanders fan is wishing for a new GM for Christmas. I mean, the Bo Horvat contract, 8 years, $85 million, taking up 10.2% of cap space is ridiculous for a 28-year-old. Hiring Lane Lambert was a joke. If you're going to fire Barry Trotz, I expect you to bring somebody in better than him. And so he was really disappointing, and I think just his contracts are terrible. J.G. Pageau and Kyle Palmieri making $5 million a year makes no sense in any universe, not even Mars.
Yeah, another team I want to talk about is Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, you know, this team just traded for Erik Karlsson, and they're still mid. They're really not much better than they were last year. And I think the unfortunate thing about that is that a coaching change might be necessary. I think the Penguins may need to fire Mike Sullivan. I mean, this is not the Stanley Cup team that he inherited back in 2015, right? This team is really old. They're not young anymore. They don't play fast. Right now, I think you really just need a kind of coach that will accommodate for that. I mean, maybe they just need to be more defensive-minded. Who knows? Then again, they have two defensemen in Erik Karlsson and Chris Letang who don't really play defense. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, I just think that this team needs a change in leadership. And unfortunately, Mike Sullivan may just be a casualty of that.
And to finish up this Christmas edition of the Sports Corner on Ice discussion, we'll keep it local and talk about the hometown Blue Jackets. Here's the deal, y'all. They need defensive help. And it's not like they're not doing anything about it, okay? I give Columbus some credit because they got Provorov and they got Severson. That's correct. Sorry, I had to think of his name. And they're still having the same problems. Coverage on the other end of the rink is terrible. And they're struggling so much. The fans definitely are hoping for Santa to bring them a good trade for some kind of better defense. It doesn't have to be a defenseman. It's just got to be something.
Well, let's now shift this discussion to our front runners for the Hart Trophy. I have to start off with Connor McDavid. I mean, by far and away, he's obviously the favorite. I think he comes away with his 4th Hart Trophy. I mean, last year, I would make the argument that he should have won it last year. Sorry, Austin Matthews, but I definitely think that last year he had excellent numbers, 64 goals and 153 points, and it's very likely that this year we see him get his 1,000th point. And I mean, how could you not give the Hart Trophy to a guy who's having such an excellent season Right now, he's got 29 points, 8 goals, 21 assists. Barring injuries, I think this is his award to lose. What do you think, Michael?
You know what? I'm actually going to go with my dark horse pick. I think that's a very good pick. Very all-pro take, Liv. Thank you. But I'm going to go with David Pastrnak. You know what? He's not really a betting favorite in any way, shape, or form. I think there are definitely guys who may have a better argument. However, I do think that he's definitely a guy to look out for. Currently, he is 3rd in the league in points. He finished 2nd in Hart Trophy voting last year, actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, very few people remember that. Maybe because Connor McDavid had such a great season. I mean, he had over 150 points, over 60 goals. But David Pastrnak had 61 goals last year. But enough about last year. Let's talk about this year. Because currently the Bruins are leading the Atlantic Division. They're one of the best teams in the league. And right now, David Pastrnak is on pace for 50 goals and 128 points. He does so much for that team. I mean, when I look at the other top teams in the league, I don't quite think they have another player that I think is truly Hart-worthy. You could really make an argument for Cale Makar on the Colorado Avalanche.
Absolutely.
But right now, I think because of a combination of all those factors, I think David Pastrnak does have a pretty decent shot at it. But you know what, Della? I want to hear what you have to say.
What I have to say, I thought you'd never ask. Okay, here's the deal. Say what you want about points and assists leaders and all of that stuff, but I think averages per game should be considered. I'm talking Jack Hughes. I'm talking New Jersey Devils. So here's the deal, y'all. It's important to consider on average how many points, goals, and assists you create per game. We have to consider this. Yeah, okay, maybe you had one fabulous game where you racked up 200 points, but Jack Hughes leads the game in how many points, how many goals, and how many assists are created on average. And for that, I think he would get the Hart for me.
Well, thank you guys very much. Let me talk to you. This finale really has me needing a pick-me-up. Just in time, Nico Crespo will be here to give us some caffeine with a very special guest to give us his hot takes and to talk some WWE.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. Just like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
Good evening, Portage County. For all the graveyard shift workers watching, I'm Nico Crespo, and I hope you have some coffee brewing for the final Crespo Coffee Hour for the semester. After watching those freezing cold hockey highlights, I say let's warm up and watch some hot takes. Let's start off with, of course, on the gridiron with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, let's start off with the take. No doubt they're making the playoffs, but they're losing in the first round. Sitting at 8-4 in the stacked AFC conference, seems like teams are passing the Chiefs up in talent. They're not going anywhere with the. They're not going to the 1 seed, but undoubtedly they will win the AFC West division. Travis Kelce, he looks kind of mid this season, only 800 yards, only a handful of TDs. Maybe it's because Taylor Swift's music playing in his ears every day. In all seriousness, Kelce has only 2 games with 100+ yards, and it seems like defenses have finally found a way to guard him. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the QB. I'm not coming on here saying he sucks because he doesn't, but his receiving core does. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice. What's there? There's nothing there. Leading receiver other than Kelce, it's Rashee Rice, the rookie, with 500 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, he's a madman in the backfield. Give him the ball more. 800 yards, 6 TDs, 4.4 yards per carry. I mean, this defense has been top 10. This defense is really good, but they can only do so much with a mediocre offense. Talk about the Browns. I mean, they're kind of the same thing. I'm not going to compare, we're talking Patrick Mahomes and Joe Flacco, but it's kind of the same situation. Arrowhead's always a factor in the playoffs, but, I think the tomahawk chop is one of the most overrated and overused things. Think Florida State, the Atlanta Braves. It's overused. It doesn't make sense. Stop doing it. It doesn't matter the opponent. They're going to lose in the first round. And then keeping it with another division winner, we have the Miami Dolphins. When I look at the Miami Dolphins, I see a team of frauds. Even on the top of the AFC as of now, all 9 wins of the season that the Dolphins have, the teams are under 500 on the season. I get it. I mean, you're supposed to beat the bad teams like the Commanders. And you play the Jets twice. You play the Patriots twice. You're supposed to beat those teams. But when you face the teams that are better than you talk the Bills, the Eagles, the Chiefs, you got to beat them. Frankly, you're on fraud watch. Dolphins have gotten off to their best season since 2001. Again, they lost to 3 great teams, the Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles all this year. Tua, he's getting bailed out by the MVP of this season, Tyreek Hill. Tua, frankly, isn't a top 10 QB, maybe top 15. The Dolphins will join the Chiefs on the couch as they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. The Dolphins aren't keeping the 1 seed throughout this last stretch of the final weeks of the season. I think the Ravens do take that seed. Even with a home game in Miami, that atmosphere, I mean, who's scared of Miami? It just doesn't make sense. They won't win because of how bad they are against good teams. And for my final take of the semester, let's kick it over to the Dirty Diamond with the Seattle Mariners. Now, the AL West has been a 3-team race for the last couple of years, and the rest of the division hasn't really lived up to the potential. And talking about not living up to their potential, the Seattle Mariners will be last in the AL West. You're probably freaking out right now, saying, Nico, what about the Oakland Athletics? No, they're going to be worse than the Oakland Athletics. And you would be wrong to freak out about it. But, I mean, this rotation, sure, it's insane. Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, and Bryce Miller. I mean, I just predict Castillo, he has a fall down from grace and does absolutely terrible this season. That sinker, he's losing break on that sinker. Robbie Ray, he's been injured for the past 2 seasons. I don't know how much he can go. Kirby and Gilbert, they have a crazy repertoire of pitches that they need to keep up. And then Bryce Miller, he's really young. He's going to need more development in that offense. Now, let's talk about the offense. Julio Rodriguez, of course, Ty France, and Cal Raleigh are your only good hitters in the lineup. You traded away Jared Kelenic and a good lefty arm with Marco Gonzalez to the Braves. What are you doing? That might be one of the worst front offices in the league, only behind the White Sox, in my opinion. This team, they're not going to win many games this year, and I predict they will be 72-102 and last in the AL West. And that's all I have for the coffee hour, but I think it's time to change things up, and I want to bring on the people's executive producer of TV2, Noah Rowe. And Noah, let's talk about some wrestling.
It is time to get some wrestling in. You know, Monday Night Raw is live right now, but I think before that, there's a big elephant in the room that needs to be addressed, and that is, of course, CM Punk.
Yeah, absolutely. CM Punk returned at Survivor Series, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Shocked the world. I mean, social media was blowing up. How did you feel about it?
Well, you say shocked the world. I think that might not exactly be true. I've been saying since he left AEW that he would be returning to WWE in his hometown in Chicago. So while the world may have been shocked, I've been calling it for quite a long time, but it is great to have the man, the myth, the second City Saint, CM Punk, home in the WWE.
What do you think his next move is on the roster?
Well, Nico, I need to ask you a question. Look in my eyes. What do you see? It's not the cult of personality. It is gold around CM Punk's waist at WrestleMania. It's clear, him versus Rollins, WrestleMania 40, night one, main event. It's going to happen. He will dethrone Seth freaking Rollins, and he will be our new World Heavyweight Champion.
Now, speaking of World Heavyweight Champion, Monday Night Raw is on right now.
It is indeed.
And the main event is Jey Uso against Seth Rollins, the World Heavyweight Champion. What do you think is going to happen there?
You know, I think that ever since coming back to Raw and leaving the Bloodline on SmackDown, Jey Uso has been an absolute pleasure to watch. I've been loving his face run. I've been loving the work he's been doing with Cody Rhodes, with Sami Zayn, but I think that his time to be champ is going to come. I do not think that is going to be coming tonight. It's not his moment. There's still too much story for Seth to have with this belt, and I think, especially with how the show opened this evening, with Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, that Drew McIntyre-Seth Rollins feud, it's going to have a bit more heat in it leading up to the Rumble this year.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's the match for the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, and I think Seth Rollins still holds onto that belt throughout until WrestleMania. I think that's when he drops it.
I also agree, but we have something to consider as well. Damian Priest still has that Money in the Bank briefcase. He can obviously cash in for a title opportunity whenever he'd want, and that ever-growing threat over Rollins' head, it could happen anytime, and I could see a cash-in potentially happening at the Royal Rumble.
You know, that's a perfect idea. And speaking of the Royal Rumble, what do we got for predictions? We're gonna start off with the Royal Rumble winner.
Obviously, Cody Rhodes has been announcing himself in the match as of Raw of last week, but Shinsuke Nakamura is standing in his way between him and winning that Rumble. Won it last year. Only a few superstars have ever done that, HBK being one of them. Hogan has won multiple Rumbles, but that's just about it. And winning 2 Rumbles back-to-back, that's nearly unheard of. I don't know if the American Nightmare can pull it off this year, but he's definitely one to watch. I think Gunther is another top pick for that spot of winning the Rumble as well.
Yeah, and I agree. But I think Cody Rhodes, he writes the story again. He should have finished the story last year and beaten Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Didn't happen. I think he writes it again and starts it all over. And starting with the Royal Rumble, he should win that Royal Rumble. And then the WWE Heavyweight Championship.
Obviously, we have, I agree, if the Seth Rollins does not get cashed in on, I think Seth Rollins will be taking that title to Mania. Another interesting one to watch, though, Logan Paul with that U.S. title. Yes. And he's holding a tournament right now to see who will be facing him at the Rumble. I think there's only one clear answer. Even though he hasn't been announced yet, I think the answer is clear. Not an insult, just a fact of life. Yeah, LA Knight is going to be taking that U.S. title from Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble this year.
Yeah, that's what I gotta say. That's what I gotta say to that. LA Knight, I'm gonna love his U.S. title run if that happens.
I don't think it's an if. I think it's gonna happen.
What are we thinking about Roman Reigns for the Rumble?
Roman Reigns for the Rumble, I think, is interesting. Randy Orton is an obvious answer. He also returned at Survivor Series and has some unfinished business with the Bloodline. He's been vowing to take revenge ever since returning to Raw. I could also see AJ Styles making his return and facing Roman at the Rumble. And if LA Knight does not take out Logan Paul, he's been vowing to get revenge on Roman Reigns ever since losing to him at Crown Jewel this year. Yeah. And do I think that a world title run with LA Knight would be great? Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, you know, I would agree. I'll give that a yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know if LA Knight has that aura to get to have one of those big belts.
You know,
it's just you when you think of the main belts, you think of Roman Reigns, you think of John Cena, you think of Randy Orton. Where does LA Knight fit in that?
Well, I think she would say it. You know, whose game is it? It's LA Knight's game. He has that undeniable Kavorka. He has the energy of a superstar, and I think that a world title run for him is not just long overdue, but imminent, if not at the Rumble, within the next calendar year. But speaking of Roman, are we convinced he drops the belt at Mania this year?
So, it's really hard to not think that he will, because I mean he's coming up on Hogan's record.
Sure.
but this has to be the time to do it.
You know, Nico, I've watched your coffee hour for a while now. I know that you're known for your hot takes. Let me give a hot take for you. I got some numbers. Roman Reigns has been champ for 1,191 days as of today. The Hulk Hogan record is 1,474 days, leaving some quick math, 283 days until Roman Reigns would break Hulk Hogan's record. That's September 12th of next year. That is right after SummerSlam. And let's look at the opponents that Roman still has to face. He's got Seth Rollins. He's got Randy Orton. He's got CM Punk. He has another match with LA Knight coming up. If Cody Rhodes doesn't beat him at Mania this year, he still has plenty of opponents and plenty of pay-per-views that he could wrestle and hold that belt long enough to beat the Hulk Hogan record. And I think he could obviously take it at Survivor Series next year. It's a big main 4 pay-per-view. He'd beat the record, and if it's done well, I think it could be something interesting.
Yeah, and let's talk about WrestleMania. WrestleMania 40. What do you think are going to be the main matches from WrestleMania 40?
Well, as I said earlier, CM Punk versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is a foregone conclusion. Yeah. It's not just going to happen, it's going to be the main event of night 1. I think Gunther versus Brock Lesnar has been described a couple of times, and will it be interesting to see that? Absolutely, but I still want to see Gunther and Chad Gable have at least one more match. Something that's been floated around online and something I'd love to see would be a triple threat for that intercontinental title between Gunther, The Miz, and Chad Gable. I think you could give all 3 of them a fantastic match, and it'd be a perfect way to end Gunther's historic intercontinental title reign.
Yeah, and I think Gunther is not the IC title holder by WrestleMania. I think he drops it at Elimination Chamber. I think they hold an Elimination Chamber match for that title, and I think he drops it. And it might be Gable, it might be Miz. I mean, it would be awesome to see Brock Lesnar and Gunther work.
For sure.
I mean, talk about leveling up.
Talk about powerhouses.
Yeah, leveling up a belt that hasn't been at that prestigious level before. I mean, Brock Lesnar and Gunther, those are 2 big men. I mean,
huge men.
You're butting heads. It's just, it's crazy. And then the U.S. title.
U.S. title, again, assuming that Logan Paul holds it to Mania. Let's call that one first. If Logan Paul holds it till Mania, answer's clear. Yeah. LA Knight versus Logan Paul for that title at Mania. It's a foregone conclusion for me. Last year we did not have a LA Knight moment at WrestleMania. I think that we are owed an LA Knight moment, and while we won't be getting one in LA, I think Philadelphia is a close second. Now, assuming LA Knight takes the title at the Rumble, who would be interesting opponents to see him against? I think Kevin Owens would be fantastic. I think that Austin Theory or Grayson Waller could both be amazing opponents for him. Trying to think of what other heels we have on the blue brand. Santos Escobar, he's been wanting it from Rey Mysterio for a while. Seeing Santos Escobar versus LA Knight in that role would be fantastic. I think both men are capable of having a high-level WrestleMania level match, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a really interesting one to watch.
Well, thanks, Noah. And that's all the time I got for you. Thank you, Noah, again for joining me. And as always, keep sipping. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And I do agree with you guys. LA Knight's time is coming. But I digress. What's up, Portage County? I'm Josh Aponte. And for the Sports Corner finale, we decided to welcome on a very special guest, honorary TV2 sports member and news director, Kennedy Gotham. Now, Kennedy is going to give us some fashion advice and guess some wild uniforms that we've seen in the sports world. Kennedy, are you ready?
I think I am. I mean, I might not know anything about sports, but I was voted on for best dressed by the people of TV2.
That's
so
true.
this is my credit to make commentary about this.
There you go. Alrighty, I think it's time to get started, Kennedy Gotham. Let's see uniform number 1.
Oh, wow. What is that? I don't know. Okay, obviously it's a basketball team, but the team name, if I were to guess the name based on what that is, I would say maybe the Sandmen, because it looks like sand. It looks like, I don't know.
Kind of.
Was I close?
It was Unfortunately, it was the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh.
So you kind of had like the sand.
That name
there.
doesn't match their uniform though.
Yeah, it was a weird jersey. Yeah. Let's see uniform number 2.
Oh gosh. Okay, I have no idea what the team is. Obviously, it's a basketball team.
Yeah.
The Flamethrowers?
Survey says.
Oh God.
Unfortunately, that was the Miami Heat.
Oh.
Also featuring my favorite player, LeBron James.
I've heard of them before, but their uniform is boring. If you have LeBron, you need to step it up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, luckily they only wore it one time for Christmas Day.
Oh,
so
well, good thing
they didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, good thing they're not using it ever again.
Alrighty, uniform number 3.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, it's a Canadian team. Is it the Maple Leafs?
Survey says.
God.
No. Unfortunately, I don't know that one because I don't know hockey, but they kind of look like candy canes.
I was just going to say they look like candy canes. Very festive.
Look at that.
Very festive.
You know, our sports director, Gabe Kalora, said that it looks like... It's the Montreal Canadiens. That was my second guess.
Okay.
I mean, look at that.
Also, interesting name, the Montreal
And that
Canadiens.
was, for all of our viewers at home, that was our sports director, Gabe Kalora. He said it kind of looks like a barber. You know the barber shops have like the blue and red thing? It kind of looks like that. I don't know.
Why would
I
you
see
want to
it.
look like that?
That's also very true. Uniform number 4.
Oh my God, they were like blending into the white part behind it. Oh God, it looks like a king on there maybe?
Oh?
Wait, is it the Kings?
Survey says.
Is it the Kings?
You got it!
Yes!
That is the LA Kings. Yeah.
I mean, if your name is the Kings, I feel like you need to spice it up. Maybe just a little bit. It's kind of boring. It blends into the what's that backboard? Backboard of the hockey rink.
I'll go with that. I don't know rink either, so we'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Alrighty, uniform number 5.
What is that? Okay. That looks, first of all, it looks like it's from 1940, which I love the 40s, but it's just a little boring for the technology we have now, I feel.
That's valid.
What team is that? What is that little logo? Is it an apple? God, I don't even know what that is.
You know, the number and the color gives me like mustard vibes.
Yeah,
it's
it's very boring.
Yeah, it is very boring.
I don't know what team, I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue. Maybe it's the Steelers?
Steelers, survey says.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe it was an old one from them.
I don't remember that one as well. Oh, the New York Jets. Who would have thought,
I thought the New York Jets were blue.
No, they're actually green and white, but
well,
it's kind of same color.
Close.
Almost there. Uniform number, what are we on, 5?
No, 6.
Oh, 6. Whoops.
The bumblebees. He looks like a bumblebee. God, he looks so cute in that. I like that one. That might be my favorite.
Look at the pants, though. What do you think of the pants? They're like khakis. What do you think?
He's a bumblebee with style, I guess. He wanted to look a little fancy for this game today.
That's valid.
I don't know who it is. I'm guessing the name is the Bumblebees. He looks like a bumblebee.
Wait. But think about this before you answer it again.
Okay.
Black and yellow. You already mentioned the team.
The Steelers?
Survey says.
Them? Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
I wouldn't expect that from them.
There you go. Uniform number 7.
Oh. Is it the Astros?
Oh, survey says. No. Those are actually the Seattle Mariners. And as you can see, they went sleeveless for those jerseys.
I'm sorry, that's so terrible.
Yeah.
That giant logo on the front of it, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's boring.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, these teams, I'm sorry, but you guys need to hire a fashion designer or something. You need to do a little bit better. I'm sorry, you have a lot of money.
I mean, you guys heard it here first. I mean, quite frankly. Uniform number 8.
Oh my God, is that the Golden Flashes?
Oh!
Is that?
I mean, honestly, those would go hard as Golden Flashes alternates.
I think it would.
But survey says, unfortunately.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Of course.
Those are actually the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles.
First of all, I thought the Eagles were navy blue and white.
They're green and white. They're green, white, silver.
So then why were they yellow and blue?
You know what? I asked that same exact question when we picked that out. 75th anniversary uniforms, Ryan Shanko said. Well, I think that makes sense.
We'll donate them to Kent State if you want.
There you go.
Maybe we'll play better if we have those.
Philadelphia.
Maybe.
Well, uniform number 9, huh?
Oh my God, is it the Bumblebees again?
Oh wait. Think. Look at the little background graphics. Take a look at that.
Oh my God, is it the Broncos?
Survey says.
Yes.
You got it!
Yes.
You know what Gabe said before the show? He said those look like double cheeseburger outfits.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm confused. The stripes going up and down the socks.
Yeah.
And it just looks very bizarre to me.
Stripey.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. But uniform number 10, final one, Kennedy, final one.
Oh, God.
I know.
Is there, oh, God, I'm really scared right now. Is it the Lions?
Surfaces.
No.
Unfortunately, that one is a college team.
What?
Studio audience, do you guys know that one? Oh, LSU. Go Tigers.
The LSU Tigers?
Oh.
Noah Rowe.
Noah Rowe.
You
yeah.
thought about going there.
He did.
Anyways.
Wow. Shout out Noah Rowe.
I
yeah.
think, okay, final, okay, I
Yeah.
got 3 correct. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty okay. But my final consensus is.
Yes.
The NFL and all these teams make so much money. You need to hire someone to design your uniforms. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They could be better. I feel like they could be better.
Yeah.
You could have a little more fun, maybe put like some rhinestones. There's something fun. I don't know.
You know what?
A little more exciting.
Christmas Day uniforms with rhinestones would low-key go hard. Low-key.
See? Like if you have like special holiday ones, like that would be so cute.
It would. It would. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much, Kennedy, for being on
Thanks for having
Sports
me.
Corner.
This is wonderful.
Thank you. And Blake Kaloja, back to you, sir.
Thank you, guys. That might have been my favorite segment of the semester. Tonight, we are making Sports Corner history, so don't touch that dial. Ryan Schenkel will make us all say ka-chow as he'll take us around the track and talk some NASCAR.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's up?
Do we have a gun?
I hope everybody out there is ready to go real fast and real left because we're about to go somewhere Sports Corner has never taken you. Like Blake said, the racetrack. I'm Ryan Shako. Let's talk about the immortal Daytona 500. Now I'm going to start with some of the history surrounding NASCAR's most famous race. Now the first Daytona 500 was held way back in 1959, but since 1982, it has been the inaugural race for the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, winning the Daytona 500, it's more than just guaranteeing the winning driver a playoff spot, though. It means serious cash is coming your way, as the 500 carries the largest purse or amount of winnings of any race in the NASCAR season. In 2023, the 500 had a purse of $26.9 million, and the winner took home $1.5 to $2 million of that. They don't release the official number. So now, what are some headlines coming into 2024's Daytona 500? It starts with Ryan Blaney's defense of his Cup Series title, a year in which he won 3 races. Last year's second and third place finishers, though, Kyle Larson and William Byron, they're both going to look to prove that they're the better drivers and deserving champs following 2023 campaigns where both men won more races and led more laps than Blaney. One thing's for sure, though. On February 18th of next year, Daytona will roar to life and new legacies will be written under a clear coastal sky. I've been Ryan Shanko. Let's make one last left turn back to Liv and Blake, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Schenko, and welcome in to Blake's Best Bets. Last week we went 1 and 2, so let's capitalize a little bit better this time, shall we? My first pick, I'm going Texans minus 6.5 versus the Jets. Texans have been playing some really close games all year. They've been playing some great football. Their defense is finally starting to step up a little bit. C.J. Stroud playing out of his mind. The Jets don't even know who they're going to start at quarterback, so I think the Texans can easily beat this Jets team by a touchdown. For my second pick, I'm taking the Patriots-Steelers under 30. Are we sure this total should be even this high? The Patriots have held their opponent to 10 points or less 3 games in a row, and they have lost each of those games. They have scored just 1 touchdown in those games and face a Steelers offense that is picketless and have fell back to reality on Sunday against the Cardinals. As long as this stays around 30, I'm taking the under all day long. And for my last one, I'm going to take a little bit of an underdog pick, Alabama money line versus Michigan. They beat the #1 team, Georgia. I think they can come in there and beat beat the #1 team again in Michigan. Little bit of it's offense versus defense, and I think offense is going to take it this time. Parlay those plus 629 for you.
It's time for empowerment and my women on the Silver Mountain. That's right, it's twofold. For the last few months, I've been telling you all about collegiate and pro athletes, but women in sports extends beyond those on the field. For example, women in sports also applies to women in the broadcasting field, which includes all the amazing women here at TV2, like Heidi Marshall, who splits her time on camera and on the pitch as a highly decorated goalie for the Golden Flashes. She also works as TV2 Sports' social media manager with myself. There's also Della Fowler, who is an expert on all things hockey and gymnastics. She's covered over a dozen high school football games, and during the winter is regularly found at the MAC covering KSU gymnastics. One of our newest members is Katie Waggle, who has made a massive impact this semester with her NFL knowledge and tech expertise. Now, before our show usually goes live at 8 p.m., Katie has already worked on a newscast earlier in the night, and that kind of double duty is overwhelmingly difficult. Now, on the production side, behind the camera, we have Jenny, who many of you may know from her work on All Systems Go, but this semester, she's running the floor. This show can only be described as herding cats. Her job is insane. And I also like to think that Jenny has maybe gained a love for sports from watching over 10 hours of Sportscorner. Running VTR is Alexa Warmuth, who has done amazingly on a show that has about 20 videos. Her job has not been easy, but she has rose to the occasion. And finally, back at the control room, we also have Sophia Sonato. Now, Sophia has worked on Sportscorner as long as I've been in the department, but she's also worked with the Agenda, All Systems Go, The Blurb, name a show, Sophia has worked on it. Sadly, she will not be a part of Sportscorner in the spring since she'll be studying abroad, but everyone here can agree we're going to be losing a massive part of what makes this show so very special. I hope you all enjoyed getting to know some of the amazing women I have the privilege to work with every week.
Now, my man on the Silver Mountain is nowhere near those wonderful women, but I am going with Tyreek Hill. Hill has been on an absolute tear throughout the Dolphins' 9-3 starts of the season. The 29-year-old eighth-year pro has 93 catches for 1,481 yards and 12 touchdowns. For a full 17-game season, that projects to 132 catches, 2,098 yards, and 17 touchdowns. Those would rank 6th, 1st, and 6th all-time for a single season, which would be remarkable even by Hill's lofty standards. What is really wild to me is how Hill is still able to put up these crazy numbers week in and week out, everything possible to stop him. Not only is he the fastest man in the league, he is also an incredibly smart and efficient route runner. Wes Welker talks about how impressed he is with his ability to read the defensive coverage and adjust his route as necessary. The Cheetah predicted he would be the first receiver to crack the 2,000-yard receiving mark, and so far he is keeping his word. Reek for MVP.
Well, this wouldn't be a finale without it. Let's do a little bit of all-pro. Hell no. I'm excited for this one. All right, Blake. Texans win the AFC South.
I'm going to go all-pro on this. I'm going to go all-pro. I'm sticking with my best bet. I like the Texans. I like how they're playing football. They just beat a really good Denver team who's going in really hot. They're on a 5-game winning streak. C.J. Stroud is that man. He's proven it day in, day out. Maybe just that defense, that's the wild card. If they can get that defense to just keep those teams under 21 points, I think C.J. Stroud and that Texans offense could win those games that they need to win the South.
Yeah, I'm going hell no. I'm sorry. I think the AFC South is just far too stacked. I think the Texans are definitely going to make a run for it, but they've got a tough slate of games ahead. I think all of us kind of expected them to have a subpar season. They do have some easy games, but they do have some really hard games. Going up against the Titans twice, that's going to be difficult. But I think, honestly, if I have to make a pick, I'm going to say the Jaguars. Now, I'm saying that as they're currently tied with the Jake Browning-led Bengals, so it's really hard to say. The Jaguars, they're hit or miss. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes out.
All of a sudden, that division turned into one to watch. Nobody saw that coming.
Absolutely. I certainly didn't. I mean, the NFC South, we knew that one was going to be bad. The AFC South, I thought that was kind of going to go by the wayside. Jacksonville was going to sweep it again, but the Texans making this real interesting.
Wide open now. Wide open.
And that is all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
For all sports updates, follow our socials at TV2 KSU Sports on X and Instagram.
I've been Liv Sharp.
And I'm Blake Beloja. Have a great night, everyone.
Impact. Be the change. Create a legacy. What if you could do it all?
Join an organization 96 years in the making and gain experience in a professional work environment with industry-level resources.
Getting started right away as a first-year student allowed me to gain real experience, gain the best of friends, and I got an internship with the Today Show where I got to live in New York.
Showcase and develop your talents as a writer, editor, photographer, fashion editor, filmmaker, journalist, operator, designer. If you can dream it, we can do it. Student media makes an impact on our community, on our students, and on the world. Together we share our voices, together we leave our mark. Together we are Kent State Student Media.